Welcome to the Rachel Varga podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures performed. I'm an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses as well, celebrity skin expert, having been featured on some of the world's top proactive aging podcasts, and much, much more. Learn more at rachelvarga.ca and enjoy today's episode. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Rachel Varga podcast, where we discuss all things body, mind, spirit, energy, optimization for a higher level of radiance and beauty. And this isn't just for the ladies. We got 25% gents in the audience. Actually, right after this interview, I'm doing a consultation for a lovely gentleman, and I cannot wait to meet you. And in today's episode, we are going to connect with the fabulous Katie Moore to discuss all things pre and post pandemic style with our rather comical tips, tricks, and journeys that we've both experienced in what I like to call a little bit of a devolution of our high fashion to now functional fashion. This is going to be a really great episode. Let me tell you a little bit about Katie Moore. She is actually the co-host. Katie and I co-host a really fun podcast called the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. Be sure to also subscribe to that second show as well, where we kind of nerd out a little bit. The cool thing about Katie is she is actually a professionally trained journalist as well. And she is kind of a professional biohacker reviewer. She has an awesome YouTube channel. You can check her work out over at Katie Type A on YouTube. And she does not hold back. This is why I love Katie. This is why we both sleep very well at night, because we love to share with you some of the best innovations, technologies, and options to support ourselves on our journeys towards being our most wonderful, fabulous, brightest, and radiant versions as we possibly can. Welcome, Katie. It's great to have you on the show. How are you today?
Hello, gorgeous. I absolutely love the silk. It is so becoming
It's
on
not
you.
silk, it's silver.
Okay, silver that looks like silk. It is so
It feels
chic.
just like silk.
It's like the new Juicy Couture. You know, it's a whole pantsuit too. I don't know if your audience knows, but it is quite fabulous.
I look like I'm ready for space.
Yes, you do. I know you have your ticket to Mars. I'm so excited for you. I hope Gabe is coming. Although I know he only had Elon only had passage for one.
Just
so.
had a couple, yeah. So
yeah. But I'm doing well. I decided to, put on something that I just got from the thrift store. It is literally like one of my favorite designers, James Purse, and I got it. I mean, this thing would have been like $200. I got it for like 15 at like this very adorable little thrift shop, and I was like, well, this is kind of the state of fashion I'm in right now. I love like high-end designers, but I don't love the price because, truth be told, in the last few years, I've spent all my money on gadgets. So it's like you try to keep room, you try to space out your budget a little bit, and so I'm so excited to talk about all things fashion pre and post pandemic and everything in between, because oh my God, my fashion has gone through quite the changes over the last few years. It's usually consists of like a bathrobe, pretty much. Like I'm always in my bathrobe. And then the other day, like my neighbor was like, "Do you have clothes?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you always see me in this."
that's adorable.
Oh, yeah,
And
we're really upsetting.
so for everybody tuning in, warm welcome. Katie and I, we have some really fun energy that I'm sure you are already picking up on. And this is a session 2 of the Rachel Varga Finishing School, where I take you through my personal journey of this recent devolution of fashion that I have found myself in. And so lesson 1 is kind of fun. It's all about talking about receiving compliments and knowing your worth, and we have to really understand that we are worthy. We are all wonderfully and beautifully connected, created, all this awesomeness. And so we have to remember that we are valuable and we are here for probably a reason. And I'm really proud of each and every one of you for joining us here on the show here today. So this is session 2, talking about our style with some rather comical tips and tricks. And for any of you who are new here, before the pandemic, I was literally on track for being on shows like Dr. Oz and all these things. I had actually been doing a lot of media trainings and uh, was in New York, like pretty much right before everything closed down in Toronto. And I teach a lot all over the place for fellow aesthetic doctors and nurses. Just did an awesome consult for a nurse practitioner in the US. Elizabeth, can't wait to help you become kind of this next generation of functional aesthetic providers to really help our clients just age and possibly well from the inside out. It's not just showing up to a practitioner. You got to do the work, and we're going to help you get there on the show. So I would show up to these media or summit interviews. I'd get all mic'd up. I'd be wearing like this fabulous like Australian designer dress and all of that. And, I would do presentations on stage. I'd be rocking these amazing jumpsuits, have my hair all fabulous, nice footwear, because people would see the whole thing, right? Lots of videos, lots of pictures. You got to look the part. And I loved that. So basically it's like corporate meets like high fashion attire. And I definitely have some tricks for how you can really look amazing and classic and very fashionable and timeless on a budget. And when you talked about thrift shopping, I have a secret to confess. I absolutely love designer. One of my favorite designers is Prada. So they make amazing dresses that fit my body type really well, great pants, beautiful tops, button-up tops that are literally timeless. But I don't like the high fashion price tag. So I have a secret website that I'm finally going to share with each and every one of you.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
called
What is it?
therealreal.com. So
Oh,
it's
I was just on
consignment
that the other
designer.
day. Yes, I literally found that by happenstance the other day. You're on that? I
Oh,
didn't know.
heck yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, well, yes, this is legit the best. Like,
It's my
I was
best style secret.
oh, bravo. That's
So guess
amazing.
what? I picked up some Prada beautiful dress pants because I've been rocking the joggers. I'm like, oh my gosh, like just look at business on top for real. That is a
Mm,
true thing in my life. And
mhm,
I was like, I need to get like some better pants, but they're kind of hard to buy. But I know that this particular brand really suits me. And I legitimately got a beautiful pair of black trousers and white trousers, Prada, for like
mm.
$40. I got some
Oh
Manolo
my god.
Blahnik strappy sandals for $40 and
And
like
these are and you're
beautiful dress
sure they're
shirts.
real? You're sure like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
how
definitely.
do you
They
know? How do you know?
authenticate everything. You can tell by the quality. Yeah,
Mm,
it's pretty amazing. And then you can also see on their website the sort of like where it is on the spectrum of like well
mhm,
worn or like pristine. And even when they have like in the middle range, it still looks pretty much brand new. And then what you can do is you can take those, secondhand pieces. Also, there's a huge environmental layer to this of not
right.
buying fast fashion. Fast fashion is not good because it's only going to last a season. And it pretty much
Mhm,
is like you'll end up spending maybe even a little bit more for a brand new fast fashion piece than something
yeah.
that's been really well made. It's already been worn a couple of times by somebody, and for whatever reason, they wanted to get rid of it. And then you can pick it up for like 75% off. I kid you not. It's just bonkers. So that is my best kept fashion secret is to buy consignment designer. That's never going to go out of style and stay away from the patterns.
Yes, I have a very, similar kind of mindset. When I lived in New York and was working as a journalist, I was the same exact way, Rachel. Like first day to my corporate job, I am decked out like in a three-piece pantsuit, like because I was also young and I did and you want to dress the part because you're like, well, all these other people are so much more experienced than me, and I'm the kind of this new kid on the block, so I have to show up and look good. Also, when you look good, you feel good, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. And so, I also was like a man on the street reporter. So literally like summer hits, I'm running up and down from Midtown to Brooklyn to Queens, like doing this reporting. It is hot as hell. And I was sweating through all my clothes. So my trick was to always carry a second shirt in my backpack or, like a big purse I would carry, like put it in a Ziploc bag, make sure it doesn't get sweaty. And then when you got to your event, like just throw that on in the bathroom and then walk out and you look chic, right? Always have a comfortable pair of shoes too. Like I used to carry ballet flats with me and run around in those, which are terrible for your feet. But like then I would switch into my heels because there was no way I was going to be able to run up and down New York in heels throughout the summer. Like it was just insane. So plan ahead is my big takeaway. If you know you're going to potentially sweat through your clothes, have a backup. And then now, like fast forward a couple of years later, as I still am on camera and I like pretty clothes. Like my mom used to dress me up in like the most adorable outfits. I was the firstborn daughter and it was like my mom's dream to like put me in these like adorable sailor outfits. And so I got a knack for fashion as a baby. And so I love to wear some stuff that like feels good and fits. So now my biggest thing is like look for consignment. I happen to live in a mecca of like amazing like kind of nice tailored high fashion. Like I love Paige jeans. They fit me really well. So do AG jeans. As I said, James Purse is great. Like find things that like are in your sort of like the fit you really like snug and aren't just sometimes I mean, I definitely don't like seek out designers for the sake of designers. I look for things that are well fit and tailored to me. So that's, I always look for those at places like Nordstrom Rack or small little boutique consignment stores. Sometimes you can just find an amazing deal. The other thing too is when you're shopping, always look for like the season ahead. So if you're shopping in like the winter time, most people are looking for jackets and warmer layers. That's when you should be looking for the really cute like strapless dresses, and like you could find amazing deals if you're planning ahead. Again, it all comes back to planning ahead. Like shop the season that's coming up rather than the seasons that's already here.
100%. And that's actually how I was able to score those 75% off deals on like these
Mhm.
pristine Prada pieces and the Manolo Blahniks for like a steal. I can't believe I picked those types of pieces for under $50. That's one of my
That's
best kept
insane.
style secrets. So what you could do is you could even just go into the boutique stores, try things
Mhm.
on, see what brands fit you really well, and then go try and find it on Real. And then you're literally recycling. That's actually how I get all my cashmere as well. I actually find it at local secondhand stores where I live too, because I love the feeling of well-made products just as much as I love the feeling of well-made and well-formulated and results-driven skincare. But
Yes.
unfortunately, you can't buy used dermal rollers. You can't buy used moisturizers. Doesn't work that way. So, splurge on that kind of stuff and then
Yeah.
treat yourself, but be really smart with how you're purchasing. Because I'm all about being a smarter, more conscious consumer. So that's how I add that into my wheelhouse and look fabulous on a budget. Actually, was spending less than going for like some brand new fast fashion pieces. Another really cool tip is I actually have a girlfriend who previously worked in the clothing world. So she has all these
Mm.
contacts with friends who get all these sample pieces. So really nice brands of jackets are like Macaj and Soyo and Kayo. I'm probably saying that wrong, but these are like a couple $100 to like $1,000 type coats. And with these sample sales, you can actually get them for like $200. I kid you not. As long as you know your size, you can get really smart. And these pieces will literally last you for a long time and are very classic, very affluent, classy, sophisticated looking pieces. So that's kind of where I have been pre
Mhm.
2020.
And that's fast forward to the pandemic and all hell broke loose, I
Oh,
suppose. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, I just like I think it was always like there had been a part of me that was like, I would love to wear athleisure all day. And then it happened. And then I got sick of it, right? Like you have your cake and then you start eating all this cake and then you're like, all right, I feel like kind of gross and I just want to put a pair of jeans on. And then you put the jeans on and you're like, oh, okay, this I haven't felt this way. These are tight. Like this is weird. Like I don't I where, it's like it was so funny. Like the first year of the pandemic, I don't think I ever got out of my sweatpants. Like maybe twice. That was it. And I loved it. Did you? Did you have a great time like just hanging out in sweats, or were you still dressing up at home?
Business on top. 100%. And you know what's really
Ah!
funny? In true biohacking fashion, I would have like, well, I usually would wear things like dresses so that my
Mhm.
legs are exposed. And then I'd throw my red light on underneath my desk and get
Mm,
my red light therapy on my legs while I worked. That's when I knew I figured
that's amazing. Yeah.
it out.
Um, I will never forget. I mean, we had moved to Hawaii for a year, and so the temperatures there, oh gosh, like you had no choice but to wear, you know, t-shirts, tank tops, and shorts pretty much 24/7 with dresses as well. So I'll never forget Jasper had a very important presentation he had to do for he works in corporate, and he had like a three-piece button suit on top and he was wearing shorts on the bottom, and it was the funniest thing. Like I walked around and I'm like, what are you doing? And no one knew. It was like just it was hilarious because it was so hot we couldn't be in like also slacks and like nice shoes, and no one knew. It was all because it was all, presentation on Zoom. So, yeah, there are tricks around it for sure. I feel like a lot of people have done that during the pandemic. Um I personally have found that my footwear has changed a lot too, right? Like I would occasionally wear heels or wedges or some, very cute shoes, and now I am all about comfort. I've made the switch over to like the barefoot shoes when I go walking outside. I'm almost always barefoot in my house, or I have like house slippers on. And I feel like that's been so healthy for my walking as well. Um, just not putting all that wear and tear with terrible shoes. Oh gosh, that's been a lifesaver. So thanks. Thanks for that pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've all seen on social media what happens when people are business on top and not so much down below,
Mhm.
and they forget their cameras on, and then they go walk, get up and walk, and they're giving a show to just about everybody. So, little trick is always make sure that you have this little covering thing
Mm.
over your cameras so that you don't inadvertently give people a free show. Not to mention for your privacy as well.
Oh my gosh, wait, people have done that?
Those videos
I
go viral. It's hilarious.
oh, that's so
And everyone in the
crazy.
Zoom room is like, "Oh,"
I
and
can't
buddies,
even
they're trying to, like, call them, but their phone's on silent because 'cause they're on a work call. Oh my gosh, there's been pure comedy
oof,
around the
that's
business
rough.
on top situation.
Yeah, that's rough, that's rough. No, that doesn't usually that hasn't happened to me yet.
No.
Although I have to say one of the strangest phases that I think I've ever experienced during the pandemic was, cutting my fiance's hair. So, I don't know, I mean, gosh, it feels
I
like
started cutting
ages.
Gabe's hair too, yeah.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like ages ago that we went through this, but all salons were shut for like 6 months and neither one of us could get haircuts. So my mother-in-law would come in and cut my bangs and try to cut my hair, and it it worked for a while, but my roots started growing in because I had just like colored my hair and I was like, "Oh, this is terrible." And then my fiance's hair was getting to be a mullet. And I was like, "Honey, I gotta do something about this." And he's like and then one day he just gave in and I was cutting it and he's like, oh no, this is a bad idea." Because the last time I had ever cut anybody's hair was like my Barbie circa 1995. And so I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, I think this is right. And then he's like, "Ugh." It was disaster. So yeah, so we're happy the salons are back open because that is no longer happening in this household anymore.
Do you guys remember the frosted tip phase
Oh
in
yes, how could I
the
not?
yesteryears?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Backstreet Boys. I actually would do a lot of my guy friends' hair growing up, and like do their frosted tips and like cut their hair. And then Gabriel was like, I can't really do the back. So he actually got really good at like trimming the sides. And then I would have
Mm.
to finesse the back. But let me tell you, there were a number of times when we would go to the markets and he would have, he just shaved a little too close to the scalp at a couple of spots. It was really funny. I'm like, sweetie, just like let me
Oh,
fix that. He's actually like, I don't know how the heck he does it. He like
yeah.
literally can get the back of his head quite well. So that is a skill. Do you remember the memes on social media of all these girls, like their fake nails growing out, like their lashes looking
Mhm.
super sparse, and the blondes? Where were the blondes going to go? Were they going to
Yeah.
completely disappear off the face of the planet? It was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, no, oh gosh, I remember the nails thing, that was absolutely crazy. I mean, I just sort of let my nails go at that point. I was just like,
I stopped wearing nail
uh,
polish a long time ago because the
yeah.
toxic exposure, and I really encourage my clients to do so too. Just keep them short. My nails grow like freaking weeds with all the amazing
Mhm,
supplements I'm on for hair, skin, and nails. And they don't crack, they don't peel. But when you paint them, you literally are inhaling fumes, not to mention when you go into the salons and you're there with 20, 30 other people with the Dremels and the dust kicking up. Like
mhm.
before the pandemic, they were all wearing masks and you weren't. And
Yeah.
just, I always knew that that was a really toxic place to go. So I'd always encourage my clients to go into a place where it's more like maybe only like you and the
Mhm.
provider, maybe like one other person, but not the like toxic cesspools in the mall.
One of my first appointments back to see a nail practitioner was outside. It was like a beautiful warm day. It was just me and her. She had everything set up outside. I mean, I apologized profusely because my nails had not been touched in like 6 months, and I was like, "I don't know what's happening with these things, but I apologize," and I gave her, like, the best tip ever, but, it was actually, like, a really nice. I was like, "Why don't we have more outside salons? Like, this is such a better way to, like, aerate the space rather than having it all in your face when you're sitting down there for like an hour." So yeah, and same with hair salons too. There's so much of those like toxic fumes that I end up getting a headache when I leave sometimes. And it's just, I would prefer having it outside if we could make that work. So it's been interesting to see some of the, regular like places that we've gone to for different aesthetic treatments, like starting to incorporate outdoor spaces or even doing parts of the um kind of doing parts of the treatment outside. I thought that was really creative. So, we'll see if that continues.
Yeah, but I completely don't use nail polish on my nails
Mhm.
or toes. They're always super tidy, but because I like to be outside a lot and go barefoot, you got to worry about like the grime kind of getting in there and stuff
Mm.
like that. So actually, those complexion renewal pads that I know that you
Oh,
love,
yeah. I love
lady,
those.
there's like these little pads that I sell that have alpha hydroxy and beta hydroxy, great for exfoliating, brightening the skin when maybe you don't want to use your scrub. But I also will use them in my nail beds all the time. So it actually, because the pad's just a bit scrubby, it will keep your cuticles down and
Mm.
keep everything nicely exfoliated and smoothed in your nail bed. And also for the toes, it's really great for getting like dirt or sand out of there also.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah,
such a
it's a
great tip. I love
yeah,
that.
great way to save
Rachel,
some
that's
money.
amazing. Yeah, because I use it on my face and then I usually use one side of it, and then if you flip it around, you can use the second. Oh my gosh. You are all about getting the most bang for your buck, aren't you? I love it.
And how we can kind of like multi-purpose things, right? So for
Yeah.
say, for example, like your moisturizer, you don't necessarily need a separate daytime or nighttime
Mm,
moisturizer. Just get one that's going to be able to do both. Use a cleanser that will take off your makeup and also pH balance the
mm.
skin. So you don't even need a toner or makeup remover or a separate cleanser. It's just all in one. So I'm a huge fan of that. It's all about being that more conscious consumer.
Yeah.
So, when we're reviewing our personal journeys of style from pre 2020 to now, it's been really fascinating. And I'm sure so many of you tuning in here are just like, yep, you're speaking my language. What's going on? And the reason I'm talking about this in the Rachel Varga Finishing School is because I think it's really easy. And we see this with moms when they have kids, you kind of get in a little bit of a style rut.
Mhm.
And as men and women, we want to look our best. We want to feel attractive. We want to look hot. We want to be sexy, right? And, rocking the jogger pants all the time, business on top, not so much on the below part. And not wearing great footwear. Like the other day, I rocked a really nice, like high-waisted black skirt with like a cute white knitted sweater and some really beautiful, again, secondhand Stuart Weitzerman suede over the knee wedge boots, and so beautiful. Like these kind of boots, like I've had 2 pairs of them, like a chunky heel and also a wedge from the specific brand because they fit really nicely if you have like kind of smaller ankles and calves. And they're going strong like 6 years later, and they were already secondhand. So get out of this
Wow.
like buy stuff seasonally, just have really nice pieces that will serve you for a long time. And he's like, wow, you look great. And I like intentionally dressed a little bit more feminine than like the
Mhm.
jogger pants and like a nice coat and like runners and stuff like that. And he noticed, and it made me feel like, yes, perfect. Like getting more in that feminine feeling and looking like beautiful and attractive is really
Mhm.
important because we kind of forget that. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm really devil's advocate here too, because I think like one of the best things that's kind of come out of uh, sort of like this sort of pandemic style thing is that like we were so like I think society was so obsessed with fashion and marketing for all of these different designers, and I think it was just like it had become just so part of our paradigm of like we need more, we need the newest styles, like everything was about buy, right? And then judging other people for their looks and all these like all these style magazines and stuff. And I think when we sort of leveled the playing field, we realized like the celebrities are not that different from us, and that even these corporate giants like they
Or they're literally paid actors in more ways than one. Sorry, I had to correct that.
Yes, exactly. And so I think it was like we all sort of went through this shift together, which I think was really humbling. And I actually appreciate that so much because I think you can get like caught up in the whole fashion scene and trying to look, you know, a certain way. And that's fine. But like at the same time, I think, we all kind of just needed to get like like sort of a snap back to judgment and or like to our own senses and really understand like fashion is important, but like it shouldn't take up all of our time and energy and space. Like I think now my relationship to fashion is so much better because I when I put on a good pair of jeans and I go out and I feel good, like it it sort of like makes it more valuable for me. It like ups the ante for me, because it is a change from what I used to do. But when I every day I was in corporate world, like I was so tired of wearing all of these like, tight fitting, like, corset kind of clothes. Not that I ever wore corsets, but you know what I mean? Like you sort of get used to like always having to quote unquote dress up. And so to have gone through a period of dressing down, now I'm like, okay, I like to bring back some more stylish apparel. And I don't know, I think that's how a lot of people feel. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's certainly how what I've taken away from all of this is like it's nice to start to incorporate it back bits and bits.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially we're moving into the spring, summer, spring
Mhm.
equinox is just around the corner. Spring skin camp is starting
Woo!
just after the spring equinox. So stay tuned for actually registrations open for spring skin camp at springskincamp.com. And winter skin camp, we're about halfway through. So you can either jump in at winterskincamp.com as well and join the fun, join the community. There's an incredible group of women that are there. Literally, if you're listening to the podcast here and you're like, I really am just craving more community of like minded individuals, join the skin camp because that's where we're all hanging out. And then you get to know each other, see each other's names, reach out. I've literally had a number of clients become friends from connecting in skin camp. So the group we have in winter skin camp right now is pretty epic, and spring skin camp is starting. And I'm going to be really placing a pretty big emphasis on style and how we can really look and feel our best, not just skin, but like the rest of the whole package as well. Gabe's like, you should do a course on like how to kind of be like Rachel Varga. I'm like, well, that's like really vain. I'm definitely not going to be doing that. So we're doing the Rachel Varga finishing school, okay, on the show here, because that's not really my style. You shouldn't want
Yeah.
to emulate anybody else. You should be you and celebrate your uniqueness, as you were making fun of me earlier.
Okay, well,
Special
Rachel,
was the word.
I never make fun of you. It is all in jest and good fun. I okay, so listeners, we were supposed to do this yesterday and we met, over the phone. And then Rachel is in the same exact outfit that she also tells me she slept in. And I'm like, "Rachel, like, have you ever taken this outfit off?" And then this is what she proceeds to do. She actually zipped this entire thing up, and I took a screenshot. She didn't hear anything I said, so I'm so glad for that. Oh, she can hear me.
I heard you.
So then she pulls this alien move, and I'm like, "Okay, okay, Rachel." So
Tell
this is
everyone what I'm doing.
so she's zipping up all the way to protect herself from EMFs. But I also noticed that like she's still the most attractive woman in America, even with a bag over her head. Like I don't know how this is possible. She looks sort of like an alien creature, and yet really, really like chic. So yeah, this and Rachel, can you hear me under that? Can you breathe? Are you is there life under there? Uh, okay, so I guess this is now a solo episode. So Rachel, this is no choice apparel, right? So we're gonna unzip, we're gonna reveal the face. Oh my god, there she is. So this is the no choice silver apparel, right?
I'm really gonna regret that public scene there for a long time. Just
Oh no, yeah, no, I've already
because
made
you look
17
super
memes.
weird. You look super weird with these hoodies zipped up, but it's kind of awesome. Like I have a number of clients that actually were wearing these articles. And by the way, in the description of the episode, I have some affiliate links and promo codes for you guys to use and save some money and continue to help to support the free content on this channel. But I bought this stuff myself to test it out with my electro smog reader.
Oh yeah,
So
we actually tested it before the show, and we saw it go green, which is
yeah,
really cool. Oh
that's
god,
that's the sound of radiation. My
that's
laptop,
beautiful.
not really. My laptop is kicking off as much EMFs as my router. And now get this. I put it under my no-toes hoodie. It's gone. It works. Like
That is
it's
the
still
worst
on.
ASMR I've ever heard in my life. No, stop. Okay, turn it off. Rachel, I'm gonna mute your mic.
No, but this stuff works. And I wanted to test it because there's a
That's so
lot of
cool.
EMF blocking like gadgets out there that claim to create a more coherent field in your home. Yeah, some of that stuff works.
Mhm.
But the clothing, I think, is a super great way to be able to manage working on our devices at home and like be comfortable and be
Mhm.
protected, like protect your organs, get better blood flow. And literally, so that's my best moment of the whole pandemic style is wearing EMF fashion. I have upgraded from silk to silver. And I'm sure I could sell this somehow, like melt it down or whatever if I ever needed to. But all jokes
Put it
aside,
on the blockchain.
this is functional fashion
Functional.
and
Yes, yes, it is.
functional fashion, right? And so I can work on my computer and feel awesome. And Katie's like, do you actually notice a difference from this stuff? I'm like, heck yes. I sleep better. Hello,
Mhm.
my sleep scores. Can we just talk about that? How my sleep is
Okay,
improved with
no,
using.
we should just shut this down. Okay. I stupidly asked Rachel, I was like, okay, so you're sleeping in this too. What's your sleep score like? 100%. And I was like, I don't believe you, but
Yeah,
yeah.
legit
I've
100% sleep
never
score
hit
on my
that.
eighth
I've
sleep
only hit 99s. I don't understand what
and
what
98.
how Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So
This is not a competition. But I am buying that like right now. So thank you for that link. Except Rachel, stop promoting it so much because literally like you're going to sell out the whole store and there's going to be none for me.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That 100% sleep score was actually the first night I slept in the Lambs, which is like a thicker black
Mm,
material, the Lambs brand. That affiliate link, and there's promo code in the description of this episode below. So I slept in their cheeky briefs, which actually their underwear fits really nicely, and their long sleeve. It's kind of like a thermal shirt.
mm,
And I had 100% sleep score that night. So it's like when we're doing all this cool biohacking stuff, we want to make sure it works. So that's where Katie and I come in because we investigate it and test it out
yeah.
for you so that you don't end up spending thousands on something that you're just not quite sure. So that's why, we don't take your trust lightly. I really value each and every one of you for taking this crazy wild of a ride last 2 years with me. And I've loved every single moment of it. I've loved every single one of you that I've had the chance of meeting. And so there's like some nuances between the brands, to be completely honest.
Mm,
Lambs is like a little bit thicker, No
mm.
Choice is a little bit thinner. And they both work at lowering the levels on the electrosmog reader. There is one that does a little bit more than the other. And I
Mm.
will relay that if you take my skin camp and book a one-on-one with me.
Oh shiz.
Yeah.
Um I mean, it's so crazy because like a couple of years ago, there was nothing in the way of like EMF protective clothing other than like I remember my one of my father-in-law was wearing like what almost looked like a sequin mesh shirt that was like straight out of the 80s, and it was the most hideous looking shirt I'd ever seen. I hope he's not listening to this. But it was god awful, and I was like, is that what we have to wear to protect ourselves from EMFs? Like, I'm not doing it. And now I look at Miss Juicy Couture over here, just like freaking rocking this adorable jumpsuit. Yes, please show us the jumpsuit. It is so cute.
I got the
Like
pants too.
I
Dude,
love it. It's
so
really
comfy.
it
I can't
looks good.
This is
Yeah.
not sponsored. This should totally be a sponsored
It
episode.
This
You're
is not
welcome, no
sponsored,
choice.
but also like thumbs up everybody in the comments below if you think Rachel should also be on the EMF on the No Choice website, because I already looked there and I was like, they need Rachel because she is just like she looks so good in their clothing, and I just feel like, why not put you there? But anyway, the
Let me
other thing I was
preface this that this is homeware.
this I was gonna that is
It's
exactly what I was gonna ask you.
loungewear.
I
You
was gonna ask
might
if you go grocery shopping in that or no?
haven't done that yet. You know what?
Okay.
I've been tempted though to go into the market and zip up
'Cause
my
you
hoodie
totally
all the
could.
way and see what people say. Because I won't be embarrassed because nobody can see my face, right?
That's true, that's
Joke's on them,
true.
right?
Oh my god. Can you see okay, but can you
Yeah,
see
you can
through
see
it?
through it, yeah. So what I was saying is a lot of my
Oh.
clients, they'll wear the stuff, like, when they fly, and
Mm.
on an airplane, you're literally getting everybody from Timbuktu's Bluetooth and
Yeah,
radiation to
yeah.
your ovaries and your skin. But I also have I'd like to postulate something here on the show because a
Mm.
lot of you are very highly discerning and love the science and all of that cool stuff. People have been using silver for a very long time, especially in the form of colloidal silver for
Mhm.
different properties. Now, we can't make health claims on the show here. This is not medical information, it's educational information only. But people have been taking colloidal silver for a long time. I have to kind of like say that word really quickly so it doesn't get like
Mm.
here on the
CS.
tube.
CS
Yeah,
from yeah.
I'm so done with social media. So I deleted my Instagram last week and never looked.
We need to talk about that at some point too. Okay, go on. Sorry. Continue.
So, anyways, they're wearing these digs to protect themselves. I'm a huge fan of actually the No Choice blankets as well. So, if you don't want to
Mm.
like walk around your house looking like an astronaut or like someone from Star Trek, you can at least maybe use the blanket so that you're getting that reprieve
Mm.
from EMFs when you're sleeping. And their blankets are beautiful, like the silk. It like the silver threads feel like silk on the skin. And, anyways, what I was getting at is um, air, debris, particles, when they land on your skin, it actually creates oxidative stress and inflammation and inflammaging
Mm.
on the tissues. There's actually research studies done in Oriental countries where they have higher rates of pollution and people have higher rates of acne, sensitive skin, redness, hypersensitivity, and also hyperpigmentation. So I postulate that actually having silver contacting the skin regularly will reduce the likelihood of inflammation on the skin on the body. I should totally do a paper on this because I'm doing a paper right now on EMFs in the skin and blood flow to things like the brain and your ovaries for hormones and things like that. There's over
Yes,
20
please.
years of research on this stuff. Like, we're
Please.
no
Yes.
longer the tinfoil hatters. We are the silver wearers.
Oh, oh my. Bravo. Rachel. God. I like round of applause. First of all, that paper. Yes. Please, please write that paper because I'm super interested in it. Second, what would happen if I got the blanket and then my new baby puppy Kona ate it up? That would be a problem, right?
That'd be an expensive mistake.
That's what I have to think about. So I
Yeah.
know, like, it's that's we just got a adorable Cavapoo puppy, the love of my life, but my gosh, like, we got a beautiful blanket, he's been chewing it up, and I'm like, "If I bring another blanket that's that expensive into my house, like, maybe it would be great for EMFs, but it would not be good for my budget." Like, he's gonna destroy it, and I don't know what the implications are of dogs eating silver, which it sounds terrible too, but I also envision, like, covering
Actually, it
him in
might
it.
kind of be good for them.
Yeah, I'm also thinking, like, I have no idea. Okay, so here's where my head's at. As a new dog owner, all of a sudden, like, I didn't think this was gonna happen to me, but now everything is like, "Oh my gosh, how do I protect the dog's sleep? How do I protect the dog from EMFs?" I'm thinking about EMF protective clothing for my dog. I'm thinking of, like, getting an 8 sleep for my dog, like, to regulate his temperature at night. Like, I'm losing my mind, people. Like, this is it happened overnight. But I'm curious, like, I don't know anything about pets and their sensitivity to EMFs. Do you? I should look into this. Or you can tell me. I just don't know.
Well, the thing about EMFs, this is also, guys, why I'm really transitioning off of these social platforms to audio only so that I can be a little bit more open with this kind of content. Because probably nobody's going to see this episode on the tube because of certain things that we're talking about, but it's important for you to know. So, what EMFs do is they mess with your ability for your red blood cells to function properly. If
Mhm,
you ever have thought about like an inner tube, like going down the river, whatever, a pool, all these inner tubes, and they kind of bump off one another and everything's all good. So that's like representative of your red blood cells carrying oxygen to all of your body, like your skin and your tissues. Your skin's the largest organ of your body. And so we need good perfusion to the tissues and organs
mhm.
and brain. So yeah, I feel freaking awesome wearing this stuff all the day, all the time. And when we are exposed to a lot of electromagnetics, what happens is those inner tubes begin to like stack on one another, or we can think of those bracelets that we used to wear that
Mhm,
were like candies that you would bite and they were circular.
mhm.
Your red blood cells will essentially start to like stick together and form these long chains and like clump up. So that's going to mess with your perfusion of your blood and oxygenation and taking toxins away and carrying in nutrients. So this isn't like tinfoil hat stuff. By the way, one of my client consults right before this with Fabulous Elizabeth, I found tin in one of her moisturizers. I kid you not. Tin as an ingredient. This is why y'all need to work with me. Have me review what you're using so that we can keep you as pure as possible. Anyways,
After this
getting
call,
back,
you gotta tell me what that moisturizer was.
it was like some white label from an influencer.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
white
Oh,
label,
shocking,
private
shocking.
label.
Yeah,
Shocking.
shocking.
Right. That's why I'm warning you guys all.
Okay, so wait, tell
Influencers
me what
are
it
to
so it
influence you, not always in a good way.
No, I and so okay, so the pets, I guess, would have a very similar reactivity to humans then. So what would be good.
However,
Yeah,
there is a portion of the population that are more sensitive than others. I think
that's
it's like
true.
WHO website had published like 10 years ago that like 15% of the population was electromagnetically hypersensitive. Hello,
Mm,
you're looking at one of them. I would postulate that there's a higher number of people who are more electromagnetically hypersensitive because we're exposed to so much more in actually really high levels now.
Mhm.
And something you could do for your pet. Well, actually, you're doing some investigation for me before you ship it up to me in Canada
Yeah.
to plug these things into an outlet. And thank you so much, Marion. Your husband is an electrical engineer and you shared this specific product. So we're doing some market research first before it gets shipped over to the border to me as well with an EMF reader. But it basically helps. You can do something like that to clean up your dirty electricity in your home.
Mhm.
Putting like clothing on your dog might be really difficult and they're going to outgrow
Yeah.
it. And EMF clothing is really expensive. So I would try and just like clean up as much of the dirty electricity in your home as possible. You can actually, I've done this before. I actually take some of my EMF clothing and actually like put it over, wrapped my router in it. If you don't
Mm.
want to like turn your router off because you have things like your 8 sleep hooked up to it, things like that,
Yeah.
you can actually wrap your 8 sleep up too with EMF clothing to reduce the signal to you in your bedroom. You can use
Cool.
the fabric in really cool ways, actually. So again,
Yeah.
multi-use.
Yeah. We are still on the hunt for really good material to create a Faraday cage for our bed. It's just
It's a
there.
lot of money,
It's a lot of money, and it's
thousands.
like yeah, and to find the right material and to be comfortable and breathable and all those things, and yeah, so I feel like that's gonna be the next wave because sleep is so important, as we all know, and, like, whether it be sleeping in something like the jumpsuit you're wearing in or, getting some outlet, things to plug in your outlets to protect the electricity while you sleep or creating a Faraday cage, like, I think that's gonna be the new wave as we kind of sort of come out of this pandemic style is like, how are we gonna be able to create functional fashion for, home living, back to office living, still keeping in line with like what our like health choices are too, our personal preferences are on health and how to protect ourselves. So yeah, I think that's probably a great way to wrap it up. And I this was so exciting and so much fun. And I always have a wonderful time watching you zip up a hoodie over your head. It was quite amusing, and I hope everyone else enjoyed that as well.
Thanks for that. Not a moment I'm proud of fashion-wise.
Don't worry, I only took like
I
14
I
screenshots.
actually never do that. Like, I never actually do zip it up. But one of the things that
But you
you
can is the
can,
point. You
that's
can.
the option. Dave Asprey actually mentioned to me last year. He's actually building something like a new
Mm.
home that's like Faraday style, but
Oh,
it's
that's so
really
cool.
difficult to do that. And I have looked at the canopy options. You're looking at like some clunky PVC piping or like
Mhm.
wooden rods to drape this mesh fabric over, because basically you can put mesh fabric like a really beautiful like mosquito netting canopy, but I wonder about the quality of that. Will it end up tearing over time? How do you clean it? So, and also it's really expensive. You're looking at like
Yeah.
2 grand to set up an EMF canopy over your bed. So that's why I elected to go the clothing route and the blanket route, because then I can also wear it and have it used in other areas of my home and have like the fabric I can use. So that was a choice that I made. But yes, those canopies, I do know people that do that. They even put carbon paint on their wall, but then you have to ground the
Mhm.
carbon paint. You can get
Mhm.
like super intense with this stuff. But I do think it's something important to be aware of.
Yeah. And when you live in an apartment, you have less liberty to make some of these drastic, like, paint decisions, and so our eventual goal is to build our own biohacking home, like, very similar to probably what a Dave Asprey has, and, yeah, everything grounded, everything, fully Faradayed, and I so that'll be fun, but that's gonna be a project down the line.
Yeah, definitely. You can spend an arm and a leg in this biohacking stuff, but there are
Mhm.
some key things, and that's where Katie and I come in handy. We can help you figure all that cool stuff out. So, if you enjoyed hearing more of Katie and I, you should follow us on the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. You can learn more about the cool things Katie and I do together over at beautyandthebiohacker.com. And you can actually work with Katie one on one for biohacking 101s and check out our YouTube channel, Katie Type A on YouTube. Super fun. You'll actually find some interviews that Katie and I did together. We're like internet best friends who have never actually
We
met
still
in real
haven't met.
life.
This is the year, Rachel. This is the year. I know we've been
Yeah.
saying that for the last 2 years, girl, but this is the year we're gonna meet. All right. I promise you that.
Yeah.
We are gonna make this happen.
So one really awesome thing that came out of the pandemic was meeting you, Katie, and our awesome community members that
Yeah.
follow us here on the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. And also thank you for joining me here on the show, the Rachel Varga podcast. And I hope you enjoyed this session 2 of the Rachel Varga Finishing School. There will be many more finishing school style tips to come because we want to look our best. We want to like be as attractive as possible, not just with the skin, but like the whole freaking package, like the face, the hair, the body, the skin, the style, and how we are in the world by moving more radiantly, graciously, and being a high viber. It's all a good thing.
Yeah.
So please subscribe, like, and share this episode. Subscribe here on YouTube, hit the bell, and subscribe on the podcast. The audio only podcast is really where a lot of the gems of what I'm sharing is happening. And be sure to subscribe to my newsletter at rachelvarga.ca. And when you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll also get access to my rejuvenation planning guide and also my 5 steps to sophisticated skin. Love to hear what you thought about today's episode on the Rachel Varga podcast. I warmly invite you to email me at info@rachelvarga.ca. And especially if you have any podcast requests. And drum roll, I am going to announce the winner of the 200th episode giveaway, where I went through a number of your podcast request emails. I have opened every single one of them, and I will one by one be actually responding to you one by one also. And I'm granting complimentary access to my going on right now winter skin camp program to Jasmine. Actually, Jasmine is how you say your name. Thank you. I'm a stickler for saying people's names correctly. So, Jasmine, I'm going to be sending you an email right after this. You just won VIP registration into my winter skin camp, valued at $555. So if you want to join the fun, hang out with us in skin camp. The registration is open now also for springskincamp.com. Have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. Katie, awesome to
look fabulous. Yes, keep looking fabulous and fresh, and just rock that silver, girl. You look so good in it.
I'm looking forward to like wearing a skirt and dresses in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be nice, putting on a bathing suit for like the first time in goodness knows how long as well. So get that vitamin D. Get your sunscreen from the inside out with some supplements that I offer as well. Have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. And we'll connect right here on the Rachel Varga podcast. And thanks for joining us, Katie. Love you so much.